If I redrafted 1984, how do you think the quarterbacks would Marino or Elway, they'd be still vying for that number one spot? Who would you take?
Well, that was 83, Dan. So, yeah, that was the 83 draft. I think when you look back on it, it would obviously be John Elway. I would still I thought he was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Certainly after he won those 2 Super Bowls at the end, after losing the 3. To me, I think you look at John Elway with the physical talent and the gifts he had, and then to have all that pressure on him, knowing how great Marino was right away. And John Elway was not. I saw John Elway as a struggle mightily that first year, where Marino did not once he got that starting job. And so imagine living in today's era, what they would have been saying about John Elway, with Marino at the end of the first round being so good and phenomenal, and John Elway struggling. But then to do what he did, I think, was pretty amazing. So I would still put Elway and Marino and Kelly right in that probably I'd probably go Elway, Kelly, Marino, Kelly, because Kelly did get to all those Super Bowls and nearly won one, really could have won one very easily, and if that would have happened, maybe would have won more. So I would say those 3 with Elway 1 because of winning 2 Super Bowls. That gives him the edge, Dan, over everybody else in that draft.
If Marino was coming out now, I mean, there were rumors why he fell to the end of the first round because he was NFL ready with just his arm, his whole style, his demeanor there. Why do you think he fell to the Dolphins at the end of the first round?
Well, I think what happened there was I remember being at the Senior Bowl that year, being down in Mobile, and he was down there, Dan was. And you had other quarterbacks who, were really highly rated. Keep in mind, Todd Blackledge went in the top 10 that year after the success he had at Penn State. Tony Eason, Champagne Tony, went out of Illinois with Mike White, went in the middle of the first round ahead of Dan Marino, as did Ken O'Brien out of Cal Davis, went ahead of Marino. So what happened was, I think when people start getting down for whatever reason, didn't have the great final year and whatever, and there were some inconsistencies there. It's expectations, Dan. When you don't see what you think you're going to see, and other quarterbacks are out there wowing you, everybody kind of gets, I don't know if they say get down on a player, but they're kind of a little disappointed, or they feel like he's dropped a bit. Then rumors, as you remember, all the rumors that were going around that year, that all factors in, and then there you go. And then when teams start passing, I don't think that impacts anybody's grade on a player. You don't see a guy dropping and say, well, I'm going to pass on him and go with the guy I have lower. That doesn't happen. But to see, I think for me to see, I remember that going back to that year. So I had Marino higher than that, but ahead of Blackledge and ahead of Davis, ahead of O'Brien out of Cal Davis. I think that was the shocker. Once you saw Blackledge go that high, and then you saw Ken O'Brien go, and there's Dan Marino still sitting on the board for Miami. That was the amazing part of it, that there was such a gap between Todd Blackledge out of Penn State and Dan Marino out of Pitt. And of course, Dan, I know, was fired up, and that motivated him throughout his career to know what went on that year. And it motivated Aaron Rodgers, too. Remember, he had to sit and wait. Others have had to do that, too. Remember, Brett Favre went in the early second round. He was projected to be a 1. So it's happened to quarterbacks before, Dan. It so happens that some of these quarterbacks that have been spectacular, didn't go as early as a lot of people thought they should have after their career was over.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.